Quarter scale gravedigger part 22B. Inside the Stinger 609. Well, I have the exhaust ready for welding. Other than one final taking it apart to clean off all the oil, get it all bolted back together again. That aluminum bar there has set screws on the inside to hold the pipes in place, and it gives a handle so the welder can clamp it in a vise or whatever and do some welding. And I've got pieces that I want to cut in place. This will be trimmed and welded in place here, and then I'll mount a pivot on this side to hook up to the throttle there. So I've got to bring a linkage from the throttle to this bar and then over to this side and then come down and then over to the throttle servo here. So that'll be fun to figure out and hook up. And then I've got other pieces that I want to cut and fit like the reel, like number 20 has, additional bracing. And I've got the two pieces in front in place, ready for welding. And then the mount here for the steering column, that needs to be welded. So before I do any welding, I need to strip the whole chassis down, take everything off, because I don't want all those pieces in there when all those sparks are flying. It can pit the aluminum and melt the plastic. So let's go inside the Stinger 609. There we go. So these are some castings that for one reason or another the builder couldn't use in a completed engine. If you look at the valve cover here, you can see there's a piece here that busted out during machining. Lucky for me though. So now I get a spare valve cover. If you look in the head, you can see the valve assembly here with the rocker arms, the valves. That's really neat. The exhaust here is from my original engine, so I had to, of course, throw it on here to make it look good. So let's go a little deeper. So here you see the valves on the inside. I'm not sure what's wrong with the head, but I did notice that on the one side there's you can't see it, but a tap busted off in one of the holes here for the exhaust. So that might be why it's in my hands instead of somebody else's engine. Then you look at the block. Let's go ahead and go further inside that. The screw here is to keep the engine from tipping over when I've got it together. So there you can see the mains drilled and tapped with 4-bolt mains. But actually it has 6-bolt mains. This block doesn't have it, but on the side he's drilled additional screw for the journals, so this has 6-bolt mains, and I'll show you where those are on my engine in the truck. But I think I lucked out to get all these spare parts. Here's the camshaft. I mean, this looks good to me. Holy cow! You know, all the journals there look good, but like I said, I'm not complaining. Here's a push rod that, I don't know how well you can tell, but there's a machined nipple at each end that is pressed into the tube. So the tube is hollow, so it actually transfers oil through the cam followers, up the push rod, and then into the valve assembly, up over into the rocker arm. Here's a transmission housing. And the clutch, the bell sets in here, of course, with a centrifugal clutch on the mounted to the crankshaft. Here's the front plate. Water pump goes here. Of course, and the oil pump is mounted here, but that's not machined because I'm not sure why, but this didn't make the cut. So let me show you the side of the engine. Now I'll just grab this. Don't know if I have enough light, but you see those button head screws there? Those are the fifth and sixth bolts into the main. So now when I strip it all down, I want to check the transfer case. The center transfer case, check for wear, look at the rear axle, see how those custom cut gears are looking. Look at the centrifugal clutch on the engine, see how things are doing. So it may be a while before the next video. To be continued.